Welcome to the Abundance Journey, the show that helps spiritual entrepreneurs create an abundance mindset that accelerates revenue. Secretly, everything you experience in your life is actually abundance. Once you understand how to activate abundance, you find yourself in flow with your business and clients, so it's easy to create the revenue you want. The Abundance Journey is the only show that activates abundance for you, so you enjoy rapid results in your business. Here's your host, the Abundance Ambassador, Elaine Starling.
You know, sometimes you can just feel the passion, the caring, the commitment, the dedication that's in another person. I mean, even through email. That's what happened when Mark Collins connected with me. His genuine desire to serve and uplift really speaks to me. Mark has a passion for life mastery that was born from a desire to have the life he believed he was created for, one where nothing stood in the way, where there wasn't any more fear or doubt or imposter syndrome, all that stuff that we're all very familiar with. Yeah, we can all relate to that. But Mark took it a lot further than most of us do. Mark realized that he wanted to feel completely fulfilled and whole as a man. I mean, frankly, today there are so many conflicting rules and social norms for men these days. It was kind of tying Mark in knots. And as he overcame his personal roadblocks, Mark discovered a passion to help other men do the same. Mark's first book, Life Mastery, Living Life by Design, Not by Default, shares tools that help readers upgrade their lives and find powerful insights to demolish the false beliefs and lies that are standing in the way. With over 15 years of working with men as a Christian coach and pastor, Mark teaches his Life Mastery online course and speaks at conferences throughout the U.S. He has personally helped change hundreds of lives, and he's on a mission to serve even more. Mark, I am so glad and delighted that you're joining me today. This is going to be so much fun.
Thanks so much for the opportunity, Elaine. This is just a great time for me.
Well, it's really fun. I love chatting with people because there are so many different ways to connect with the God of your understanding. There's so many different perspectives and outlooks. And so I never tire of hearing how different people have that kind of relationship and what really works for them, what really serves them. Because I feel that the more connected we are with that God of our understanding, the more in alignment we are, the more open we are to experience abundance and flow and joy in every moment.
I couldn't agree more. That's a great perspective and way to put it.
Cool. Well, I want to get started with our intention, but I'm doing something now that I do with my clients, and I just started doing it on my show because I think this is really, really important. We are doing two techniques to connect our energy and connect with the God of your understanding. I typically call this the divine. And it's really funny. But if you've ever heard of the plural of y'all, it's all y'all. To me, the divine is kind of encompassing God, the universe, source energy. It's like any name you could possibly have, angels, ancestors, you name it, it's covered. So I'm not leaving anybody out when I say the divine, which is why I use that term. Yeah, I want to be inclusive. So the first thing we're going to do is breathe together 3 times. And as we breathe in, very slowly and deeply, just think the words, I am. And as we breathe out, think the word consciousness. So the whole thing is I am consciousness. Let's do that together right now. And then I'll read the intention and we'll hold it for 78 seconds. This will align our energy with the divine. And we'll have some pretty interesting things show up today during our conversation. Okay.
Absolutely.
Let's breathe together 3 times. Breathe in. And breathe out. Breathe in. And breathe out. Breathe in. And breathe out. In love and light, we hold the intention that we release all limiting beliefs, replacing them with divine love. So we embody the divine in every thought, word, and deed. Thank you, divine. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is done. We give thanks, and so it is. Wow.
Amen.
That was really cool. I felt like these big ripples going out from my body. And you know how when you drop a stone in a pond and the ripples go out, they tend to get smaller as they go? These ripples got bigger and bigger and bigger. And that was so cool. I mean, the energy that you're putting out there is really, really strong, Mark. Kudos.
Thank you so much. I'm just half of the equation, so I appreciate yours as well.
Oh man, you know, it's really interesting. And I love that we're taking the time to chat together here because I just felt so much love and compassion and dedication and commitment from you to serve men and help them understand who they truly are, the strengths, the brilliance that they bring to this equation of life. Why are you so passionate about supporting men with this mission?
I think it comes from needing it in my own life. And so seeing where there was a lack or a need to feel like I was a person of value, I had identity, the I am statement that you're talking about. I love that because that's actually part of our course is creating an I am statement. But my I am statement before I walked down this path and was able to find the blueprint I say for life mastery was a young man who was wanting to be better than the life he was living, who was insecure. I mean, all those things that you said, right? Those are all really a description of my life. And as I was walking through my life, the things that I struggled with, the things that were standing in the way, the wall that was between me and who I was created to be. And in being able to kind of break through that, being able to walk in the things that God had for me and the divine had for me, and be able to understand who I was created to be, just like anything amazing, right? I'm sure you're exactly like that, where you find something amazing and then you want to share it with everybody you know. For me, it was one of those things that, if they only knew how to get there, I'm sure everybody would want to invest in it in their life, because I believe that we are all equal in the sight of the divine, which for me means that there is a call on all of us. There's an impact that we're supposed to have in the world. And as I found a way to unleash that in my own life, I wanted to give that to other men to be able to have it unleashed in their life. And the more I had conversations with them, the more I was in relationship with them, the more I saw, like you said in the introduction, those things that we all struggle with, insecurity or doubt or fear of failure or imposter syndrome, whatever the label is we want to put on it. For many of us, really everybody I've run across, there's something holding you back, a false understanding of who you are. And in that place, I wanted to give them the opportunity and the chance to discover the things that, and as they say in the language that I use, help me to be set free so that they could have the same.
Yeah, I love what you're doing. And, I want to share a quick story with you. I was really blessed on New Year's Day 2005 to have a stroke. And I always say blessed because during my stroke, I got to have a conversation with our higher power. And I got a complete download about how everything works and why we're alive, how we can live our best life, and what happens next after this life. And so ever since then, I've been getting more and more and more downloads. And just a few months ago, I was in my kitchen doing dishes. It's interesting how when you're doing something that doesn't require a lot of, things come through when you're not really paying attention. And I was just kind of musing over, sometimes you're working on a project and it just comes together so easily. It's like, poof, wave the magic wand, there it is. And then there's other times when it seems like it should be a really straightforward project, but you hit roadblock after roadblock and obstruction of, delays. It doesn't matter. It's just a slog. And I was just kind of musing over, why does that happen? And I suddenly felt and heard this really loud, forceful voice in my body. And it said, when you deny your power is denied to you. When you acknowledge your power is shown to you. You are more powerful than you can imagine. And it was just like this really clear message from the divine. Sweetie, take off the training wheels. Hello? Yeah, I always talk about it as we're in partnership with the divine. So many people think, no, the divine's up there, God's way up there, and I'm this lowly little ant doing nothing. And the message that I got is, no, honey. You are the fireman holding the fire hose, directing where the divine energy goes. If you keep putting blocks in the way by pretending you aren't all that and not owning your power, it's just a trickle coming out there and it's not going to do the job. So I love what you're doing because you're unleashing that power. You're allowing men to own who they are and be confident and proud of the skills, the abilities, the talents, the unique perspective that they bring to life. We need you. We need you to be strong.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I love what you say there. It's not a capacity issue, it's a belief issue. I tell the people that I talk to, you always have the capacity, right? I tell them this, that the divine never equips you after you walk into a situation, a circumstance, a calling, a vocation, whatever it is. You're always equipped before you get in there. The problem is you're the only one who doesn't know it. And so like you talked about, right, the struggle, and I was there in my own life as well, right? That place where you feel like you aren't good enough for the thing that you're walking into. For, myself, it was whether it was the business or trying to get my college degree or what have you, right? Your past lying to you and trying to create a present reality and a future expectation. Instead, being able to kind of unleash that. And, obviously I use the tools that I have in my course, and I'm sure you have an abundance of tools that you're using as well. But yeah, it's that unlocking. And to me, it starts with hope, right? It starts with actually believing that it could be true. Even if you haven't seen it in the past, even if you've kind of fallen down a few times, that was one of the things that was one of the biggest breakthroughs in my life, was trying things, whether it was personal development or other courses or reading books and things like that, and having great value in them. They have great value and good tools, but none of them really gave me the outcome that I desired, the transformation that I was hoping for. But when you get that one thing, when you're finally saying, I'm not going to give up till I get there, all of a sudden it starts to show up in ways that you couldn't imagine. Like you talked about the divine speaking to you or guiding you or giving you something in front of you, that just that next step, not the whole journey, but just that next step that gets you to the next thing you need so that you can really be unleashed in who you are.
Yes, I love that, to be unleashed in who you are. And it's so ironic. I love watching silly animal videos. And it's really funny to see a dog grab the leash of the other dog and start taking around. And so often we let that happen in our lives. We're pretending somebody's holding our leash, and we're the one holding our leash and wrapping it around the tree, right? So I have to ask you a question, Mark, because obviously the name of the show is The Abundance Journey. I've never had two people define abundance the same way. Given the kind of work that you do and the coaching that you do, how would you define abundance?
Yeah, for me, I think in our context, I find it to be similar to fulfillment. What I tell people is that There's a difference between success and fulfillment. Success is just being, diligent enough, long enough, fortifying yourself against the things that are coming against you, and just doing it long enough until you get to a place of success. But what we're called to, I believe, by the divine is fulfillment. And it's that place. Abundance to me is a place of fulfillment. And fulfillment isn't finishing something. It's me literally living from who I was created to be. And the outcome is exponentially greater than I could have even imagined. Right? It's like when you have a blockage in a pipe. We have an older home, and so sometimes our pipes are not working as well, right? And you can tell how when it's not working, because there's certain things that won't flush and certain things that won't go down the drain. But once you clear that pipe, unfortunately for us, it's mostly hair, because I live with my wife and my daughter, and so it's not my issue necessarily. But once you clear it, all of a sudden it becomes explosive. And so to me, is that explosive grace and goodness in your life that you couldn't have even imagined that you had.
I love that. I love that. And it's so funny, because I want to share another story with you. I know I'm full of stories. I was driving my husband's truck. I'd been running some errands. I'm trying to back out of a parking space in this parking lot. And it's a big truck. And I'm always a little concerned about spatial awareness, make sure there's nobody behind me. So I'm really, really slowly backing out of this truck. Out of the corner of my eye, I see another car, go really quickly through the parking lot. And I was like, wow, that is not safe. I was immediately thinking, boy, that is not safe. And all of a sudden, somebody honked. And it sounded like they were right behind me. I did not look. I didn't want to know. But I went from happy, joy to off in like a nanosecond, like instantly, so irate. And I'm thinking all these unpleasant things about this person's history and ancestors and all kinds of stuff. I was just going off in my mind. And I get this reminder from the divine. They're like, whoa, time out. Every single moment is designed to be a blessing for you.
Yeah.
Every single moment. So what if hearing that horn honk was actually a blessing? What would have been happening if that was a blessing for you? And I really had to think about it. I was like, okay, well, maybe I was about to hit something. And so they didn't have time to put their car in park, jump out, run around, knock on my window and say, hey, lady, wait, you're going to hit something. All they could do was honk. And yeah, it was a blessing not to hit something, because that would have been extra expense and a lot of extra time and a real hassle and inconvenient. And yeah, not hitting something is a huge blessing. Or maybe it was kind of like a thumbs up. You've got this. You're far enough out so you can get out. Because I thought I needed more room. But after that honk, I cranked on the wheel really hard and I barely made it, but I made it out. So maybe it was just encouragement. It was a thumbs up. And then the real message came through. I'm the one blocking my blessings.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the one making up stories that somehow whatever's happening isn't really serving me, when it is. It's up to me to find how this serves me, figure out how this is a blessing, because we are blessed all the time. I mean, this conversation we're having is amazing. I'm really enjoying it. Now, Mark, you have worked with so many people over the years. I'm sure that you notice, and especially from your own experience, sometimes that's even easier to see. What are those gotchas that people are dealing with? Where are they stuck before they start working with you?
Yeah. Well, certainly in my own life, it was, a great term for it would maybe be an identity crisis. What I tell people, so my course is Life Mastery, and we have two overarching goals. One is to help people understand who they're created to be. And the second one is so they can have the life that they're created for. You can't have the second without the first. You can try and make up a life that's great and good with all, the attributes and all the bells and whistles that we all have, right? And it was even in my own life. I started a business because I wanted to be my own boss, and I felt I had more than just a vocation. Jobs are great, and I admire people that are in jobs up until retirement. But there's those of us who are a little bit different, maybe more independent or more stubborn. And that was me. And so I was in that second category, trying to success my way out of fear, success my way out of insecurity.
I
Come to
love
find
that.
out.
I love that. I'm trying to success my way out of fear. What a brilliant turn of phrase. I'm sorry. Keep going. Keep going.
No, because you expect that, right? You expect if I succeed at this, now I'll feel like I have value. Now I'll feel like I have worth. And the problem is, it's like an anchor that drags along with you. Well, for me, it was like this. I actually had hip replacement surgery last November, and it was successful. It was amazing. It was miraculous, to be totally honest. And not on my perspective, but because of the divine. Well, and also because I had an expectation going in that it would be miraculous. And what you believe is what you'll receive.
Yes.
But in the course of rehab, you get stronger, you do the exercises and all those things. And I'm a pretty diligent person when it comes to those things, pretty single-minded. But after a certain period of time, I was rehabbing, felt like I was doing good. My muscles were strong, my leg was good. And my wife was telling me, hey, there's something weird about the way you're walking. It doesn't look normal. She'd be behind me every once in a while and she'd see something in me and I'm like, nah, it feels normal. This is you're wrong. This is exactly how I'm supposed to walk. Well, we went to the physical therapist and I was going to prove her wrong. And I was going to prove her wrong by, asking the therapist, hey, watch me walk and tell me if there's something going on because I think I'm walking normal. She says it's a little weird. Well, you know how the story ends. My physical therapist, said, yeah, there's a little bit of kind of a compensation in the way that you're walking on that one side. I didn't know it. And that was just like me in the success journey of trying to make success overcome the fear. Sometimes the only person who doesn't know what you're dealing with is you. Mm-hmm. Everybody else can see it on you. And so in my own journey and trying to get to that place of understanding and overcoming fears and worries, the first was the identity. See, my identity was in my past and my experience. And these are things that we unpack in my Life Mastery course. It's allowing your experience to tell you who you are, allowing your past and your pain and your hurt to tell you who you are, allowing others and the things they project on you with their words and their expectations to tell you who you are, instead of living from the place where the divine tells you who you are. And so for me, and what I see in a lot of people is they think their past is their future. And so it's a linear path of if I was never going to be successful, well, then I never can be. Or if I had relationships that failed, well, love and happiness are not something that's for me. It's a lie, but it's a lie we believe because we're allowing our past to speak louder than our future. And really our hurts speak louder than our identity. To me, at least with all the people I see, I tell them, I'm a fairly black and white person, and I say, you're either living from your identity or your past pains and hurts, but you can't live from both. And so you're either going to project forward with what you believed your past was going to give you, or you're going to walk forward with the truth of who you are.
Love that. Oh my gosh. Taking so many notes. This is really good stuff, Mark. And I love the passion that is flowing through your voice. I mean, there is so much energy here. It's so good. And it's really funny because I got this image as you were talking of pin the tail on the donkey. With pin the tail on the donkey, somebody puts a blindfold on you and they spin you in circles until you're really dizzy and you have no idea what you're facing, where you're going, and then you're supposed to find the flippin' donkey, right? Life feels a lot like that sometimes. Yeah. And so I really love what you're talking about. Now, I have noticed, I wonder if perhaps you've noticed the same thing. Whenever I want my external world to change in some way, I have to be willing to change something inside me first. It's actually a calling to shift something internal. Now, you've worked with so many people over the years. What have you noticed your clients have to be willing to shift inside before they get that transformation that they're really looking for?
Yeah, I think that's very profound. And I think you're absolutely right. And what I tell people that I work with is that if you don't understand who you're created to be, your external world has to make up the difference. Again, that success journey or that relationship journey or that power, that money, prestige journey that we all walk in, right? In many cases, it's a substitute for an identity. Because I'm feeling insecure, my wife has to make up the difference. My job, my vocation, my promotion, whatever, right? There's things that we all have. But once you understand who you are, then that person is able to be lived out. And it's in that place that you understand, who you are. I hate to keep bringing it back to identity, but it absolutely, it is that case. You're either living from who you are, or you're living from your past and pains, and then the world has to make up the difference. And so some of the tools that we use, I have a 3-step transformational strategy, which is mastering your thoughts, words, and actions. Because really all transformation, I believe, comes from, I read the Bible, and what I see there is that as you think in your heart, so are you. And in that place, you understand that, oh, okay, well, if I am today the man I am because of, primarily my thoughts, who I believe, what I tell them is who you believe you are, you'll become. And so if this is who you believe you are, and you know that there's more that you were created for, well, then, it sounds easier than it's done, but you still have a strategy to work it out. And the strategy is then change your thoughts.
Yeah.
What are you saying about you? And what I tell them is, if it's not in alignment with who the divine says you are, then it's lying to you.
Yep. Yeah.
And so for us, it's starting with your thoughts. What do you say about you? And is it in alignment with what the divine says about you? The more you understand that, the more you believe it, the more you repetitively remind yourself, right? The affirmations, right? The more you do those things, you'll actually see that man or that woman show up in experiences, in stressful times, when you're trying to do things, those things that used to worry you, those things that you used to not do because they scared you, or you didn't want to be disappointed. Now all of a sudden that person shows up bravely and boldly as the hero that they were created to be.
So beautiful. So beautiful. There's this willingness to be fully present. And that was one of the reasons why we created the intention the way we did today. We release all limiting beliefs, replacing them with the divine love, so we embody the divine in every thought, word, and deed.
Yes.
I read a book recently that I thought was absolutely fabulous. It's called The Magic of Surrender by Kute Blackson, Kute Blackson. And Kute's dad had about 140 different churches, and he was known as the miracle minister. And at one point, Kute sat down with his dad as an adult and said, "Okay, Dad, tell me about one of these miracles and what's going on here and how it works." And so his dad said, "Well, they were originally from Ghana in Africa." And he said, "I actually got a chance to meet with the king of Ghana in London. He has a house in London, and he had had a stroke, and half of his body was paralyzed. And so I went to the hospital to pray for him with his wife, and I got this awareness that he needed to be at his home in London. So his wife got him back home, and I joined them again, and I was sitting there praying to support his health and well-being, and I got an image of tomato juice. So I asked his wife, "Do you happen to have any tomato juice in the house?" And she said, "Yeah. You want me to bring some?" "Yeah, let's bring some." So she brought the tomato juice, and as the king started drinking the tomato juice, there were these loud pops and clicks, and the half of his body that had been paralyzed was completely healed. And he jumped out of bed, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm fine now." And Coop goes to his dad, "Well, Dad, what did you do? How did you create this miracle?" And he said, "I stopped doubting. I stopped getting in the way of the visions. I stopped questioning. I stopped having to have explanations and justification and evaluation criteria just so. And I'm not doing anything. God is doing all the work. I'm not doing anything. I'm open and I'm listening. And then I share what I get."
Yeah.
That's the only thing. That's the miracle. And it's so true, right?
Yeah.
That is the miracle, because we put so much in the way, all those fears and doubts and worries and expectations. And
That's great. There's a scripture where Jesus is talking to his disciples, and they're trying to stop the children from coming near him, right? They want the adult time. They want the kids to be in the background, which was the norm of the culture at the time. And he, of course, as he always did, kind of turned things on their head and said to not stop the kids from coming to him, because he said the kingdom is in such as these. And I think there's a transparent hopefulness and belief when you're a child. And it's that place of getting back to it, right, Elaine? It's that place of, I'm just going to believe it, because that's who he is. That's who the divine is for me. He's the Father who loves me more than anybody else. And in that place, of course, what he says is going to come to pass. And I simply need to just walk into it.
I love that. I love that. That's so powerful. And one of the things that I've really come to understand in a deep and profound way, gratitude is the ignition switch to higher consciousness.
Yeah.
It really is that transition point between I'm very much in my human self, or I'm shifting over into my higher self. Gratitude is the bridge. And so that's kind of my go-to. When I can get into gratitude for anything, I mean, it doesn't have to be what I'm up to or what's happening in my work. It could be birdsong. It could be a nice, cool glass of iced tea on a hot day, right? Anything that I can get into gratitude for shifts me into a higher space of consciousness. And then I'm more open to the guidance that's coming through all the time.
Yeah, that's really good, because I think, well, two things. The first is that if I'm grateful, then I don't feel lack.
Yes.
What I feel is the abundance, right? I feel that overwhelming goodness that's being given in my life, whatever it is, small things, big things, whatever. We can all make a list, and hopefully we can, about what we're grateful for, right? It's in that place that you start to feel value. You know, I think that's, at least for the guys that I work with, and even ladies, this course, I focus on men, but I didn't always do that. But you kind of have to pick an audience. You know, if your message is for everybody, it's for nobody. And so I picked men because obviously I'm a man and have a background and experience. But I find in that place that when you're grateful, you feel value, and that value is one of the highest needs and desires. Which, you know, again, like the person who's creating the miraculous encounter is just following God and being a child in His sight. You're creating this place of saying, "Hey, I have value and worth," and it's this lived out. I tell people this all the time, and so for me, it's life mastery is the tool, freedom is the goal. And this place of freedom is me being able to live out exactly who I'm created to be at all times. And I tell people this: living in freedom and living from freedom is the easiest thing ever. Living without it is really hard.
So true.
You're trying to have your life make up the difference from what you're seeing. So I love that gratitude. Here's a fascinating one as well, right? Where thinking grateful thoughts ahead of time. It says in the scripture, one of the most profound prophetic things that were said was talking about prayer, right? Your prayer and supplications with thanksgiving is what the scripture says. And that thanksgiving is before you actually have the answer that you're praying for. But it's in an understanding that you are going to have that answer. So gratitude ahead of time, to me, unleashes the miraculous. Because now all of a sudden I'm aligning, right? That aligning with the higher power, it's aligning with, no, this is who you are. This is who the divine is. And if I can align with that, now all of a sudden I give, it's not the right word, but I give permission for it to happen in my life, because I'm not blocking it. I think the miraculous in our lives is being blocked, like you said, I mean, you're absolutely correct, by us, by our steadfastness in saying, I'm not sure and I'm not going to go for it, versus what if? What if it could be true? What if this thing could happen? Yeah. And you find profound results when you think that. Gratitude ahead of time, because I understand my Father and He trusts me and I trust Him.
That is great. And I have a really great example for you too. So I call it celebrating in advance. Same thing, gratitude in advance, celebrating in advance. And it is actually, I have a little exercise on things that I'm grateful for and then what I'm going to be grateful for today. And so often I will say, you know, I can't wait to hear from 2 mentors today. I'm really excited that I'm going to hear from 2 mentors today. And I can't tell you how often I make that statement ahead of time, super excited about it. And then I'm standing in line at the grocery store, Starbucks, somewhere, and they're total strangers in front of me. I have no idea who these people are. They're having a conversation. I don't even know what they're talking about. But something they say sparks an awareness in me, and they are my mentors.
Yeah.
It just happens that way. Or a book, somebody will recommend a book, or I'm online and all of a sudden something comes up that gets my attention. That's the answer I was looking for. You are guided all the time. But when you think it's all on you, it can be really burdensome. Now, there's one other thing that I want to share with you, because I think this is another big block that people run into. And that is, there are a lot of challenging things happening in the world right now. Lots, all over the place. there's a really interesting exercise called the 7-day mental diet. And that's where you block out all negative stuff, negative news, gossip, anything that kind of brings you down. You just don't go there. And I kept hearing about, natural disasters and wars and all kinds of stuff. And finally, I'm like, divine, what is up with this? I'm trying to be positive here. And I got this message, hey, you're in partnership with the divine. We're tapping you on the shoulder whenever you notice something that is a negative, so to speak. That's us reminding you to send love and blessings to those who need it.
Yeah.
Whether they receive it or not is up to them, not up to you. Your job is to send it. That's part of how we make miracles happen. We need you to focus your attention and your energy, imagining these people are whole and complete, guided by divine love, and blessed beyond imagining, more than they or you could ever understand. Hold that image for them. They are not victims. They are not, they are whole and complete. And it was like, wow, okay, that's a game changer for me. Yeah.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. I had a revelation one time about the call on our lives, the things that God's given us, the impact that we're supposed to have in the world. And in the scripture, it differentiates a servant from a son or a servant from a daughter, right? And each of them have different values and different worth and different responsibilities in the relationship. Right, a servant isn't at the father's table. A servant doesn't have the authority of the family business. A servant really needs to work to measure up, to follow through on commands because there's a master and a servant relationship. Again, this is kind of the biblical narrative and what was happening at that time in history. But there's a profoundness when Jesus calls God our Father. When the divine is our Father, that means inherently that we're sons and daughters. And so when I tell the people I talk to, there's this mind shift from being a servant to a son or daughter that goes from me having to work and do to measure up to me being invited into the family business. And that's, I love what you're saying, because that alignment with the goodness of God, the goodness of the divine in the world, the love that wants to be expressed and passed on, or the peace or the joy is us being able to be a part of the family business. And this is our part of it being lived out.
I love that. You're part of the family business. This is amazing. All right. Now I have a question for you, because I'm sure you forgot to bring your magic wand, right? We're all struggling here. It'd be so nice if you could just go poof, and now life is miraculously healed.
Yeah.
It doesn't usually happen that way. There are little baby steps we have to take to get where we want to go. Could you share just one or two little baby steps that would get us going on the right path?
Yeah, for sure. And thank you for the question. So I'll really quickly share three, if that's okay.
Sure.
The first three. So again, our first goal in life mastery is to understand who you're created to be. Not the things you do, not your title, so on and so forth. I could speak on that in a few minutes, but it's who you really are, apart from your things, apart from all of the external. And so what I do, there's three things. One is I love your I am. And the reason I love it is, as I said before, the first thing I invite my community, my students to do is to create an I am statement. It's a statement of who you are. And it is a part, so it's not your job, it's not your vocation, it's not your relationship, it's not your title, it's who are you as an individual. And so we have them unpack that. And then I give them two other things I want them to do. One is to create a celebration list, and the other is to create an accomplishment list. The celebration list, difference between that and the accomplishment list is the celebration list isn't anything you're doing. It's not anything you have. It's who you are. For myself, I'm a chocoholic. I love chocolate, right? Chocolate and everything is great, right? We kind of have a family dialogue about what ice cream is best. My daughter and my wife love mint chocolate chip. And I think mint is a horrible addition to chocolate, because I'm a purist of chocolate. Chocolate is always good. So, but I'm a chocoholic. I'm a person of compassion and passion. I'm a person of character and worth. I'm a person that works hard and diligently finishes the things he starts. Right. So it's this list of what are the things you love about you, because at least in my community, and I think specifically men, but honestly with women as well, as we find a hard time celebrating ourselves.
Yeah.
And what I tell my folks, because they think, oh my gosh, that's arrogance. I said, it's actually the least arrogant thing you could do, because the more I celebrate me, the more I celebrate the divine.
Yes.
There's nobody who celebrates a creation like the Mona Lisa or the Statue of David that gives that object of art credit for being a masterpiece. It's always given to the master craftsman, the creator, the artist. And the more I know about me, the more I can celebrate the divine, because I see exactly who he is. So that's the celebration list. And then the accomplishment list is kind of the same thing. But it comes down to this. You're accomplishing things on a daily basis. You have a track record of accomplishment in your life. Again, that lie that we hear is that, oh, I'm a failure waiting to happen, or I struggle with this, or I can't do that. But you've accomplished things in your life. And so I tell them to create a top 20. I wrote 100 for myself. I mean, and it got as small as I pay my bills on time, I show up to work every day, right? Those things. But those, we discount the small victories in our life, the small decisions that are a bet on ourselves. And in those places, we discount ourselves in our lives. And so with those three factors, the I am statement, the celebration list, and the accomplishment list, now all of a sudden, I believe you can have a more complete package of who you are. And so mastering your thoughts, right?
Yeah.
There's a battle that goes on in our mind. I think it was Joyce Meyer who said that, right? The way to combat it is to be ready for it before it happens. You don't prepare yourself for a battle before you get in it. You don't prepare yourself for a task or a goal after you're in the middle of it. You do it beforehand. And so what we're giving them is ammunition to master your thoughts by reminding yourself of these things, by having a better picture of who you are when those lies happen, when those doubts, when those worries, when those stresses happen. You have the ammunition to say, no, but this is who I am. And again, that man, that woman shows up more often and more often. And then all of a sudden, they're the only one that shows up. And now all of a sudden, you're, again, unleashed into the life that you're created for.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. All of that is really, really good. And I'm going to add a little extra interest here,
Yes.
Especially on the I am statement.
Yes.
I was reading a really interesting book called A Happy Pocket Full of Money. A Happy Pocket Full of Money. Highly recommend the book. And in the book, the author's talking about the power of I am goals, what you want to experience. And I like to say, I am so happy and grateful that. That's kind of my intro. I'm so happy and grateful that, and then whatever it is I choose to experience in my life. And so I'm reading this part of the book and I'm like, that sounds really good. I just wish there was a concrete example in my own life that I could look at where I could go, yeah, that actually worked for me. And then I got this blinding flash of the obvious. Thank you, Divine. And I got this awareness of a conversation that I've had with my now husband, but I had with my boyfriend back in the, he's now my husband, where I would say, darling, I am so happy and grateful that I get to share life with you. I am blessed that you see the world differently than I do, because when I can hear you, I can't always, but when I can, it expands my world. I am so in love with you. I'm more in love with you every single day. I can't explain it. It's not logical, but it's real to me. It's very real. And I am so grateful that you're in my life. Well, 44 years later, and we are more in love every single day.
Awesome.
We really are. We go out with people who are strangers for dinner, and somebody always says, hey, could we sit like in between the two of you at dinner? We sit together all the time. So I'm like, sure, fine, have a seat. And they're like, oh my gosh, I really feel the love between you two. This is intense. It's like, yeah, because it's deliberate. I am more in love with you every day. Yeah, it works.
That is awesome. I'm learning so much from you today. Thanks so much.
I love collaborating with people like you, because you're saying a lot of the same things that I'm saying, but in a different, unique way that really adds value. You had so many brilliant things that you brought to the table here today, and even more because you very generously offered an amazing free gift to the audience. Could you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, actually, it's what I call a discovery tool. And so, of course, for myself and anybody that I work with, I wanted to give them a chance to kind of figure out where you're at in the life mastery journey, specifically because it's a great term, but what does it mean and what does it look like in my own life? And so I have this free, it's called a diagnostic tool, but I call it a discovery tool. Discover where you're at in your life mastery journey. So it's quick 40 questions. It's actually on our website. You go out there, it's absolutely free. Check it out. Get your little score. You'll have a score for each of the 40 questions. And at the end, you'll kind of have a summary of where you're at. But the other thing is, the next step is now, how do I get to that next level? Right? This is where I'm at, but how do I improve? How do I get better? And so it gives you the twofold. Hey, this is where I'm at, but hey, these are some things I might be able to do, and that'll take me to that next level. And, as you already know, Elaine, it's a journey, not a moment. And so wherever we're at in the journey, there's always a chance to have more. And so that's one of those tools I want to do to give people more.
That's so beautiful and so generous. And, I really appreciate that because it's hard for us to see ourselves.
Yeah.
It's really hard to get that objective perspective on where I am now. And so having a diagnostic tool like that, having a discovery tool like that, where I can get more clarity about what those friction points are and where I'm getting stuck, that I don't see it. But that kind of perspective is incredibly valuable. So thank you. Thank you so much for that. Now,
and if I could add to that,
sure, please.
One of the things that I absolutely love is to help people understand that just because my response to life is this, that, or the other, fear or anxiety or worry, or the things that we're doing that are kind of, I didn't realize that I was doing that, and that was actually holding me back. This gives them an opportunity to say, hey, not that you're abnormal, not that you have issues, but you don't have to respond in that way. You don't have to, again, like you said, limitation versus being unlimited. Yeah. You can walk into an unlimited journey and response. But sometimes it takes being able to see, like with me and my hip. I didn't know I was walking differently. I didn't know I had a little, as my dad would say, hitch in my get up.
It really helps to get an objective perspective. And then where you can take action. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Now, Mark, one of the things we always do, we turn the tables on our guests here at the Abundance Journey because we know that when we give, is when we truly receive the most. So what can we do to support you?
I'm beyond the discovery tool. My passion is to give to others. So you can go ahead and check out my website and those things that I have out there. Obviously, I have my book out there, and my book's on Amazon as well. So if you wanted to support by checking out those materials and at whatever level you think makes sense for your life and your journey, grab a hold of something that would help you. That would actually bless me in several ways. One being that I can invest in you with some seeds and some things that are potentially changing your life.
That's awesome. Well, I'll make sure that all the information is in the show notes so people can connect with you on social media and check out all your cool stuff and get access to your free gift. Absolutely. Well, now you've left me with a bit of a dilemma because you were so flipping brilliant, Mark. I've got 5 pages of notes and I have to pick just one thing to do the Activate Abundance segment around. Wow. What a delight. You are such a treasure, Mark. Thank you so much for doing the work that you're doing. It's really important work. Thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you for your time. This was a great experience in being able to be here. I actually, when we were first starting and you were doing your intention, I had this picture, and the picture was being invited into somebody's home to sit at their dinner table with them. And this was an experience that felt just like that. I feel like I've been fed well and had great company. So thank you so much.
And it was a beautiful potluck meal, right? You brought some awesome dishes. I brought some fun dishes. And it was really flavorful and fun. Great collaborative conversation. How can it get even better than this? I love that. I love that because that question, how can it get even better than this? It's acknowledging all the blessings that are currently present in your life and letting the divine know, I'm ready for more. Bring it on, baby. Oh, all right. Well, stick around, everybody, because we're going to activate abundance in just a minute. Hi, it's Elaine Starling, the Abundance Ambassador. And I know since you're listening to this show or watching this show, The Abundance Journey, you really want to experience more abundance in your life. Well, that's why I wrote the book, 5 Steps to Activate Your Abundance. It's available for sale right now from Amazon, from barnesandnoble.com, and many international sellers. And I want you to pick up a copy because I'm really opening the kimono here and sharing all of the information you need to experience abundance in every single aspect of your life. The book's divided into 3 parts. Part 1 is called Meeting the Divine. This is where I share my near-death experience and the conversation I got to have with our higher power during my stroke. In Part 2, Messages from the Divine, I share the best practices that I was given, the secret sauce in how life actually works. And so you understand really why you're here and how you can make the most of your life so you love every single moment. And then in the Part 3 is Partnering with the Divine. That's where I go into each of the 5 steps to activate your abundance and explain exactly why it works so well. So take a moment to pick up a copy. It's available as an ebook, a paperback book, an audiobook, and a video course. So however you like to absorb information, abundance is waiting for you. Wow, were we blessed to chat with Mark or what? That guy's amazing. I love where he's coming from. I love his perspective on life. All right. Before I get too much into the Admiration Society, step 1, gratitude. 5 pages of notes, people. 5 pages of notes. Mark had so many brilliant concepts and ideas and the way he phrased things. I was like, I need a Spock mind meld with this guy. I mean, really, it was that good. I'm super grateful that we got to have this experience. Step 2, acknowledge something you heard that was an aha for you. Well, there were so many to choose from. I feel like I'm shortchanging myself by only picking one, but there was a super powerful comment that Mark made. He was saying, if you're living from your identity or from your past pain, you automatically look to the external world to fill in for you. It's like you try to make the people in your life define who you are, make your job define who you are. And that's not truly who you are. But that's why we limp along thinking that we're going in the right direction, but we're hampered. You know, it's like our feet are tied together and we're trying to run a race. Very difficult. It's not a good way to go. So that was a major, ooh, wow. Yeah, totally makes sense. Step 3, appreciate the difference it can make in your life. Well, when I notice that I'm feeling that friction, that I'm feeling that difficulty in my life, in any aspect of my life, immediately I can remember what Mark said. And I can go, oh, wait a second. Am I trying to get my external world to fill in somehow? Or am I truly looking at who the divine says I am and acting from that open, loving space of the divine? Because when I come from that space, there isn't any friction. It's just pure love, acceptance, welcoming the divine flowing through me, as me. I'm not invested in the outcome. I'm invested in the experience of being open for the divine. That's the big differentiator for me. Wow, really helpful to know. Step 4, we're going to activate abundance. We've got 3 different ways to do that. The first way is grab a calendar and schedule time to get it done. This is something that's going to last for a while. I also consider journaling to be a part of that first way because it's really important to schedule time to journal. When you journal, you're taking the thoughts and feelings that are in your body and in your subconscious mind and putting them out on a piece of paper so you get a more objective perspective and you can actually see what's happening for you. When it's just going through your head and you're churning all the time and thinking these same thoughts over and over again, you don't make a lot of progress. So it helps when you can journal and get it out on a piece of paper. So having this awareness that, am I living and trying to compensate by picking up on my external world and expecting that to validate me and explain who I am and what my value is in the world? Or am I letting the divine define my value? That's something that I can journal about. Now, the second way that we can activate abundance is using a physical trigger like crossing your fingers or tugging on your earlobe as a reminder about how you want to show up. I highly recommend doing something like this if you're going into a meeting with some people that it could be a challenging conversation and you want to show up as your higher self. You truly want to be in that open, welcoming, loving, divine space, because then things turn out way better than you could ever imagine. You don't know what's coming, but it's better than you can imagine. The divine has a much bigger plan for you than you do for you. So why not be open to it? The third way is to declare what you're going to do and how you're going to show up, especially to an accountability buddy, somebody who really knows you and they can call you on your stuff when you're not really showing up the way you said you wanted to. They can say, hey, you're being kind of defensive here. I noticed that you're pretending you're more this kind of an identity. And you said you didn't want to just live from that identity. You wanted to live from your divine self. So what's going on here? When you get that kind of awareness, then you can act, right? We are weebles. You remember those little toys when we were kids? We're weebles. We wobble, but we don't fall down. We wobble out of alignment with the divine and go, oops, and wobble back into alignment with the divine. That's the process. It's not a one and done. It's a continual, ongoing process. And the more you do it, the more you realize when you're starting to drift back into personality, back into your old identity, back into those limiting beliefs, and you immediately shift back into this open, loving awareness that is the divine flowing through you. Step 5, celebrate your progress. Isn't this awesome? I mean, I'm going to listen to this episode over and over again because I know there's even more notes that I could have taken. Mark provided so many brilliant suggestions and brilliant ideas. I really love this concept of knowing who you are and loving yourself exactly as you are. Everything that you have been blessed with, especially those things that you mistakenly think are curses, they are not curses. You are designed with all of your skills, abilities, talents, resources, capabilities, interests, preferences, along with your hot buttons, your issues, your faults, your foibles. All of that goes into making you exactly what is needed by the divine in this moment. It can cause friction. And when that friction happens, and you deliberately choose to step out of fear and step forward with love and appreciation and gratitude, you're expanding the divine. You really are. This is how God grows, is by your willingness to deal with the friction and show up as love anyway. You are such a blessing, and you are blessed. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you next time for the Abundance Journey.
You've been listening to the Abundance Journey Show with Elaine Starling. Visit theabundancejourney.com/podcast gifts to access today's gift, as well as gifts from our other guests. Tune in every week to activate abundance in your life and business. If something resonated with you, please share it with your friends so they can benefit too. Keep activating abundance, and we'll see you in the next episode.